Thanks for tuning in. You are listening to Conversations with the Citizen.
Hi, and welcome to another week of Get Your House in Order. I'm your host, Bryn Sharif. The information provided on this podcast is not intended to be legal advice, but to inform you of the importance of getting your house in order by making a plan that will establish your legacy for the protection of you and your family. If you need help in any area that we discuss during this podcast, you can give me a call at 773-817-0601. Again, 773-817-0601. We encourage you to contact a professional of your choice that you can speak with regarding your individual situation. On today's show, we will be discussing legacy. Legacy. We have had a fallen civil rights giant, the Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson. And over the last couple of weeks, since Reverend Jackson has made his transition, we have been made aware of his legacy. And it is great, and it is broad, and it covers so many areas. It covers family, it covers education, it covers economics, it covers housing, it covers our civil rights, it covers voting. This was a giant. And so his legacy is being celebrated, and we are so thankful. But I want you to be mindful that you, in your family, you have legacy. You have a legacy. How great is your legacy? Have you shared information with your family about your legacy? There's stories. Everyone loves a good story. There is no one that I know that is not enthralled by good stories. I am a part of the Great Migration. Many of you are a part of the Great Migration. You can give a perspective as a part of your family's legacy of what it was to live in the South, having then to come to the North, the land of milk and honey, the land of opportunity. What were those things that prompted your family to move? These are things that your children and your grandchildren need to understand and know. How did you get here? When you got here, what happened? This is your legacy. I bet that if many of you got together with your friends and you were telling each other stories, that we could start a whole series on the Great Migration and what prompted people to come to Chicago, what they encountered when they got here. These are stories that you need to share. Do you have a family reunion? Are those family reunions here, or are your family reunions in the South? Do you go back to those places? Have you gone back to those places that your family came from? Do you still have relatives there? These are those things that knit us together, that make a richness of our heritage. And we have a very rich heritage, but we have not been taking the responsibility to share that information. Don't nobody want to hear about that? Yes, they do. Your children right now children and or grandchildren are at crossroads in their lives. It happens just by age. By age, just the same thoughts and feelings that you had of trying to find your way at age 20 are the same things that are happening with your grandchildren. You might have different opportunities, but the question of how am I going to make it, what path will I take, it just happens at certain years. So you, as a parent or a grandparent, can help give some traction to your children or your grandchildren by saying, hey, you're not the only one that had concerns about what do I do, when do I do it, how do I do it. You are the one that can give them the structure. And this is based on legacy. Legacy, something that has gone before, that gives you the information so that you know what to do, how to do, and what not to do, because there are lessons. They say history is our best teacher, and what we don't want to do is to repeat certain things. In some families, I don't know, maybe it's in yours, I know it certainly is in mine, there are certain traits that tend to go from generation to generation. These can be positive or they can be negative. My family tends to be entrepreneurial, and other families tend to have other traits. These are things that you, as a holder of these treasures, let them go. We just ended Black History Month, and in one of the columns that I wrote, I said, when you bring your family together, get together. Tell them those stories. Tell them those struggles that you had. Let them in on what was done to overcome the obstacles. Life, as Langston Hughes told us, ain't no crystal stair. We've all had our challenges. We've all had those things that we wish had not happened, but you got to deal with it. Share this with your children. Sometimes they think you never had to deal with this, but you did. You've been 20, you've been 25, you've been 30. You, as they say, the things that they're coming into, you have already been through. And it can be helpful. I know it was with my parents and with my grandparents and with uncles and other people that I encountered. They shared information with me so that it didn't, what I was going through seemed to be very small by comparison to some of the things, the obstacles that they had to overcome. There are legacies for our organizations, the NAACP, and I happen to be a part of the NAACP. The NAACP is the oldest and the boldest, the most revered and the most feared civil rights organization. Many of you have had opportunities that were only dreamed of before because there was someone, a Jesse Jackson, the NAACP, the Urban League. These are the organizations, the institutions that have gone before to make your rough places smooth and your crooked places straight. Yet we don't give honor to those. We are supporting, or we are in mourning right now for Dr. Jackson or for Reverend Jackson. But how many of you are members of Operation Push? You know what they say about money? Money talks, and you know what walks. Are you a member of the NAACP? These are legacy organizations that have laid groundwork and bridges that you are now walking on. They say that we stand on the shoulders of those that have come before us. And we must give homage. We must give some credit. We as Black people need to look within our legacies, look within those things that have happened in our family, gain strength from them, and continue to push forward. There was a gentleman, Judge Cousins. He used to say, forever forward, never backwards. To those of my generation, I had hoped that we would have been much further along. And in some instances, as we look at the political situation right now, we have the right to vote, but we have not taken the responsibility to vote. And I believe it's because, unfortunately, there has not been enough dialogue about why to vote. They have taken civics out of schools, which taught people the understanding of the political process, so that you knew that voting was not just a right, but it is a responsibility. In a constitutional republic, as we have, we are given the opportunity to vote. And if we don't understand, and maybe we can go back to what used to be our main place for getting understanding, and that was in our church. Matter of fact, Scripture says, in all thy getting, Solomon, who has been attributed to have been the wisest man in the world, said, in all thy getting, get understanding. And so some of the things that we don't do is because of lack of knowledge. Another scripture, for lack of knowledge, my people perish. So, for those of us that have had a few years behind us, let's share some of the legacies, some of the stories that make our heritage rich, that will allow our children and grandchildren to understand where they came from. We are somebody. And let them know it. Say it loud, say it proud. You are someone. This is our rich legacy. Let us push forward. Let us continue on this path that has been established for us. As they say, it's going to get greater later, only if we take the responsibility to do what we can do today, and that is to share the stories. How do you overcome? Share the wisdom that you have learned from the lessons. So, as they say, the sign of a wise man is that a wise man will profit by the mistakes of others, because he knows or she knows that they'll never live long enough to make all those mistakes themselves. So let us come into focus on our legacy, stand proud, push forward, forever forward and never backwards. I thank you so very much for listening. I pray that there's been a seed planted in your heart, that you have something great to give and share with your progeny. God bless you. And until next week.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen, the place where real news